Hi and welcome to my channel. I am so happy to see you today. If you are new here, subscribe, share with your friends, hit the notification bell so that you are notified whenever I release a new video. Today we are going to look at the work of the clinical instructor in ensuring that students pass or students get the requisite skills that they need. As a clinical instructor, you need to be knowledgeable about, one, the topics that the students need to cover when they are in the clinical area. Two, you are supposed to know the skills. You are very well skilled, well versed with the skills. Or if you do not have all these skills, three, you need to know who it is that has the skills that are necessary for the students to pick up. Four, you are good with priority management. The students need to have to move from one area to another. And it's upon you, using the master rotation, to know that the students have covered one rotation, so they are going to the next one. And even the areas that they did not cover, you need to know when else they can cover these topics within the master rotation. When students come to or go to the clinical area, one, as a clinical instructor, you need to get them and orientate them in the theater, introduce them to the staff who are going to be there. Orientation is very important because if it's not properly done, the students will be moving from one area to another, asking questions which they would have avoided had you done proper orientation. Ensure that the students know the staff and they are properly identifiable. It is important for them to go to their respective areas having their identification name tags. This is important because then the staff who are in the room, or if it's in the operating room, for example, will be able to identify them. And that way, it is important for them to have their name and who they are. Like if it's a student, if it is a nursing student, it is indicated nursing student. If it's a registrar, always important to have proper identification, because then it is important for someone to be addressed by their right name and correct title. Now, that is about identification and proper orientation, so that if they are moving to the place that you want them to go to, they need to do it correctly. This will avoid unnecessary time wasted in people identifying or going to places where you want them to go, especially if your department has so many areas for them to rotate. Now, the other thing that the students need to know, you need to give expectation. What are they expected to know? And what is their expected behavior? For example, if you are a clinical instructor in an operating room, it is important to ensure that your students understand, one, the attire. What attire are they supposed to have in the operating room? And to which area or which vicinity are they not supposed to go to? Because without proper information, you will find that people are leaving the operating room, or students are leaving the operating room, going to areas where going to non-restricted areas, which means then that there is a risk of cross-infection or cross-contamination. Now, expectation, once they have their objectives, ensure that your students have the proper logbooks. And if they have XY forms, ensure that when they move from one department to another, these logbooks are signed, and the XY forms are also ensure that they are signed and are handled with the confidentiality that is required. You also need to be understanding to the students. You might realize that some students have challenges. Like you might realize that a student may not be applying themselves because they have one reason or another. Maybe they are not having school fees, or maybe they are not even having adequate meals. So for you as a clinical instructor, you will check up these students, find out what could be the problem, and work with them in finding the solutions to the challenges that they are experiencing. It's up to you as a clinical instructor to ensure that the learning environment in your area is conducive for the students. Any complaints that they may be having, ensure that they are addressed on time so that there is a smooth flow of the rotation for your students in your respective area of placement. The other thing as a clinical instructor you need to do is you need to communicate properly to the other lecturers or the sending institutions. For example, if you are having students from multiple institutions, it's upon you to have their numbers, the contacts of the lecturers who are sending the information, because you may need to communicate with them to and fro depending on how the students are performing. This communication may include one, if the students fall sick, it is important for you to communicate with the class instructor. Two, if there is maybe a death or if there is a sickness, it is important for you to communicate. Any changes, for example, there can be changes depending on either rotation or closure for renovation or whatever it's the case. Ensure that you communicate properly with the other relevant authorities to ensure that you optimize the experience, the clinical experience of your students. So as a clinical instructor, it's going to be fun. You are going to be challenged by students. You are going to get questions that you are asked. They are going to look up to you for the mentorship. It is important for you to point them to the right places. And if you do not know all the topics, because you may not know all of them, it's an opportunity for you to go and research. And when you come back with the information, you realize that you become richer with the information that you have. So these are some of the things that the clinical instructor does. And in a nutshell, it's to ensure that the master rotation is followed, and it's also to ensure that the students' experience in your area, respective area, are optimized. And students are going to enjoy staying with you when you are this knowledgeable, when you understand the staff, you understand the topics, you understand the students, and also you ensure that they get their meals in time so that they enjoy their experience in your placement. So if you are a clinical instructor, what is your experience with students? What questions are they asking? Please comment below and share this information with the rest of your friends. And if you have not subscribed yet, hit the subscription button and the notification bell. See you in the next one. Bye.